Hello, 1311 subscribers. Today, we're going to build a lead nurturing SMS AI agent for one of our HVAC clients. The backend of the assistant will be built on Voiceflow. We will interact with the AI assistant through the Voiceflow APIs. The phone number is bought on Twilio, and this is how users will be able to talk to the agent. The database, the temporary storage that we'll use to store the information about the phone calls, will be built on Airtable. So we will use Skype phone number to interact just for the sake of testing, since I'm not in the US right now, so I cannot access this assistant through the US phone number. So we'll buy one on Skype, and then we'll interact with the phone number bought on Twilio. And obviously everything will be connected through make.com. Now let's actually build a very simple logic so that we can kind of get an understanding on what we need. So let's say that we have a user, and user want to, the goal for this assistant is to capture the details about the request that the user has. So let's say we capture the user details such as name, request type, what they need, the service, and then, transfer this conversation A to a human or B to the CRM of the client. Then when we are capturing the details, as I already said, we will, let's say, send an email as well as, let's say, create the user in CRM of the customer. So this is kind of a very simple flow, but let's see how do we actually make it work. Essentially, we have Twilio, right? Twilio is where we will buy the phone number and connect it to our AI agent. So essentially, when the user wants to send us a request, he does it through Twilio. Now, so when the request is received, Twilio need to talk to Voiceflow assistant, so Voiceflow agent, and essentially going back and forth. So I would say something like this, and we can make these the circles. So we are actually going back and forth. So this is the loop between Twilio, Voiceflow, and capturing the user details and going back and forth. Then, so essentially when everything is done, we have make, and make is obviously make.com is used here, right? So make is kind of connected here, since we are connecting Twilio and Voiceflow AI agent through make. So we can even create this, So this is kind of the more relevant flow. So we go through make, we go to Voiceflow agent, then capture the details, and then going back and forth. But then when all the details are captured, we also calling the make. And yeah, so and inside make, we send an email as well as setting up the CRM. For the sake of this example, I think we'll not use the CRM, maybe just send an email or, whatever. We'll see how it goes. My goal is to provide you some ideas on how you can actually build this thing. Now, let's start with Twilio. Obviously, you need to create an account. I'm not sure what country you are in, so I think it should be available for the most part. If not, you can do different workarounds. Obviously, when you are working with a client, you will need to ask them to set it up, and this is what we did. This is my personal account. Obviously, I use it for the demo and the prototypes that we show to our clients, but you should ask them to submit their own information, and it's better if they set up everything on their side, not you set it up with their email, because they need to upload some documentation, they need to verify a few things. And if they are pretty old school and don't know how to operate the computers, you can just do the screen share or connect through the AnyDesk and try to help them out. Anyways, so when we have this thing, you can go to phone numbers and active numbers, and you can buy a phone number. I have multiple phone numbers here just for the sake of testing, but we'll use just one from the US. So let's say we bought a phone number. Then we need to create the messaging, service kind of. The messaging service will allow us to trigger a webhook whenever the phone number receives a message. So let me actually do that right now. And because I have one here, and okay, so let's actually delete this one so that it's easier for you to understand how everything's going to be set up. So when we have the phone number, we create the messaging service. And here we say, let's say YouTube demo, notify the users, it doesn't matter, create. And then here we need to add the phone number. So we continue, and these are the phone numbers that we have. So you'll have one if you just bought one. So, and let's actually use this. So you check it, add the phone number, and then you continue to, okay, so it was added, continue to the setup. This is the most important step. Obviously, we need to, so what kind of we want to do after the message is received? We want to send a webhook. Now let's go to actual make and set up the webhook. Okay, so create a scenario and webhook, custom webhook, add, save, copy, okay. Now, we will pass it here, HTTP request as post, callback, so we don't need that, add. So ideally, you need to obviously complete this verification and register ATP in order to, send SMS. I'm not sure if you are able to test it without it, but anyways, again, that's why you need to set it up for the client. But for yourself, if you have the company, it's easy. If not, okay, so you should figure this out. Anyways, so let's say that we have this setup, complete messaging setup, and we can actually try sending a message through an API request, but internally inside Twilio, but this is not something that we are going to use. Anyways, okay, so now this webhook is set up. So let's click save and run. Now it's waiting for the message to be received. I'm not sure, maybe we can, okay, so let's actually test it from here. I've never done it. So hi, send SMS. Let's see if it will be received like that. Okay, so I don't think so. Anyways, so now let's set up a Skype so that you can see how you can, set up the integration. Okay, so most of you, I think, should have Skype right now. Like, we never use it. It was somewhat popular a few years ago. But essentially in Skype, especially if you are outside of the US, if you are inside, like, it's pretty easy, right? So you can just try to send a message directly to the phone number that we connected the service to. So if we go back, okay, so to the messaging service, or we can go through here. Let's see. Okay, so it's here, services, YouTube demo, this one, but the phone number which is connected, I think this is the 480. Yeah, so it's this phone number. So essentially you can send an SMS to this phone number and this webhook should be triggered, but since I'm not in the US, I don't have the phone number with me, the US one, I'll use Skype. So essentially you kind of log in the account and you have the Skype numbers. You can buy a Skype number that, you can call from and people can call you to this number. There are multiple services like this, but let's use this one. And I have multiple numbers, so let's actually use this one. So when we bought this number, we need to top up our credit balance because when we will send the SMS, it will use our balance, or we can actually buy a subscription. So for right now, as you can see, this is the SMSs that were received as I was testing this solution before recording the video. So this is kind of the chat that I was going through with the AI to test that it's working. By the way, a quick disclaimer, we already built a demo and the prototype for this client. We are actually in the process of building the full end solution. They were using the Podium before, and what I noticed is Podium kind of a very popular software. I've never heard about them before, but I did talk to, for the past 3 months, did talk to probably 3 businesses that are using Podium, and they have APIs, and we were actually trying to connect through the APIs to Podium, and when they receive an SMS, make the AI to respond inside Podium. And maybe we will do that, but since they had a very specific flow where they wanted to capture the details, they didn't want to actually talk to the people manually. We don't really need the management software, since all the conversations will be added to their CRM anyways. Okay, so now when we have Skype, we kind of bought the phone number, and we can click here and send a new SMS to the number. But since this is the number that we connected the service to, this is the exact number. And when I say hi, we should receive this webhook. Okay, so this webhook was received, and as you can see, body is hi. Here it says accepted, since when the webhook is accepted, make by default send a 200 request as a success message. So in order to remove it, so we can add the webhook response and put to4. Okay, now, so when someone send an SMS to this number, we receive a webhook with the message from the number of the user that sent this message, as well as the body. We have the location, but it doesn't matter. So from, as you can see, this is my Skype numbers, just to make sure. Okay, so it's 731. Okay, now the next step, if you look closely, we have the Twilio setup, we have the make setup. Now we need to set up the Voiceflow agent. So let's actually do that. I'll not create the new agent, since I usually just duplicate it. So let's do the duplicate. By the way, obviously, all the templates are available for free in my resource hub. So in the first link in the description, if you click it, it will send you the link to my resource hub, and there will be the blueprint. I will export it and import it there, so you can import the blueprint from Make. I will export the Voiceflow, and I will also export the Airtable that we're going to build next, so that you can kind of get an idea how you can just copy and paste it to your project. Okay, so let's say like Twilio demo, something like that. And okay, so we don't need to set up anything here. Let's go to home. We don't have anything, so let's start. Essentially, let's say, again, will be a very simplified example, right? So that you get an idea. Creating the user, be short, 1 message, add 1 emoji, something like that. Then we will capture the user reply, and then we need to save the whole conversation in 1 variable. And this is very important, since we first want to have a real human-like experience when AI remember the whole conversation. And second, since we will reference the Voiceflow ID of the conversations later on, so that when people type in their messages and questions in the SMS, they continue the conversation and not just start over and over again. In order to do that, we will use a custom function. I think I have one. Memory, obviously you will not have it when you create a new agent, so that's why you can just copy my template and you'll have it, or you can just export it and import it in your project. But essentially here we need to map these variables. So last utterance is the utterance that we say to the AI assistant, custom memory, previous custom memory that we need to update, and last response is the last response from AI, and save everything in the custom memory. Okay, so now when the user will provide a response, we will update the custom memory variable and go from there. So let's actually think, what do we need to do? So let's say that we need to capture the details. What details we need to capture? So let's say we need to capture the email. Okay, so like service description, as well as because we have the phone number, let's say the email and whatever. Like again, there will be more obviously, but let's stick with the two. Now, so how we should go about it? Obviously, we can ask, hey, please provide your email, but ideally we need to say, okay, your let's say goal. Okay, let's click on your goal. Your goal is to get an information from the user about a service that he is looking for. You need to capture all the details one by one, and then move to the next step, something like that. So now, what like details to capture? Let's say first, what user need. Second, service description, if needed. Third, email of the user, and let's say full name, something like that. Now we will say here is the user message. Okay, here's the user message, and the message obviously in the reference. So we will use, let's say, the tag user message, and we'll use the same tag as you. Like obviously you can input the variable right away without the tags, but what we found is that when you provide variables inside the tag, it's much easier for the AI to understand what it needs to do. Now the rules. First, you must ask one question at a time. Respond to all the user questions in a proper manner. Add one emoji and be short. Something like that. Now, we need to provide that conversation history as context, right? So kind of we'll use the same thing here, but we will say, okay, so this is not the user message, this is conversation history with the user and conversation history. And here we'll use conversation history for users for your reference. Okay. Now, so we are capturing all the details, right, from the user. We will do the capture step, and obviously after each step we will have the memory, these things. Okay, so now let's think what we should do next, because the idea is that we need to capture all the details from the user one by one. So it will say, hey, what are you looking for? What's the service? Please provide me the description. Please provide me your email, and then the full name. When all these details are captured, I want to send the kind of the bot to another flow and trigger another webhook in Make in order to send an email, right? So let's actually create another scenario, and let's just create a new webhook that we will trigger when all the information is captured by the AI. So custom webhook, add, save. Okay, so now this webhook will be triggered when we get all the details, but how do we understand that all details were actually received? Okay, so here's one way how we can go about it. So instead of response AI, we can use the set AI step, and then all Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's say we have the variable called all info. Okay, so something like all info, something like that. Now, so user will ask the questions, and AI will respond and save. The response will be saved in the all info variable. So then we can kind of output this variable, right, all info, and then capture the response, then duplicate this block, and yeah, so and essentially like go back, I think. No, so it should be like this. Okay, now so this is the loop. We can delete this one, and we can delete this one. Okay. All info, because we are asking. Okay, so ask the question here, then it goes here, and then here. Okay, so I think you should get the idea that the AI will answer the questions, and we'll save this answer into this variable. Then we output the variable, waiting for the user response, and then updating the memory and going back. The problem is that it will do the loop. So why we actually did it? The idea is that we will have another set of instructions for the AI. So, and we can essentially divide it like this and say important information. When all details were captured, and you have service description, full name, and the email of the user, you must output 1. Okay, so again, in the rules we can say when you have all the details, output 1. Import information. Okay, so let's say you must output only number 1 when you have all the information. Never output anything besides number 1 when all information was captured. Okay, so right now we will add a logic step for the condition. And here we'll say, okay, so when the variable info, all info is 1, it means that we captured all the information. And let's say add the condition, and when the variable is all info is not 1, then we will continue the conversation. Okay, no, sorry, it's not. Yeah, it should be like that. Yeah, so here, so we will continue the conversation. But when we have all the details from the customer, it will output 1. And when we have 1, we'll go to a separate flow. When we go to separate flow, we will, for example, do a few different things. So we will do the set AI and kind of do the same type of goal, but with the same type of structure, sorry, but with a different goal. So here we'll say your goal is to find user full name and output it. Details to capture, rules. So rules, you must always only output the full user name. No additional words, symbols, or anything. Just the name. Here's the interesting part. We obviously need to use the best model possible and to lower the temperature. Okay, so here we don't need to lower the temperature because it's not only outputting 1, but it's also outputting the actual questions to the user. But here, since we are only finding the user full name from the conversation history, import information. Okay, so import information should be probably here. And this is not the last neutrons, this is the custom memory. Okay, so this is the custom memory. conversation history, custom memory. And here we are using GPT-4o. Okay, so same thing. Here's the user message. We don't really need the user message. We're just needing the conversation history. Because again, we are capturing all the details, AI going back and forth with the customer. And then when it thinks that all the information was captured, we're going to the next step. And all the information, last name, email, and service description in the conversation history. So your goal is to analyze conversation history and find the username. Okay, so now, and here we'll output full name variable, and we'll do the GPT-4o, and here we can, lower down the temperature. And we will duplicate these steps for each variable that we need. So essentially, this is not the full name. We, let's say, need we actually have the email, I think. Okay. So, email, and let's find user email. User email and output user email. It must always output the email. No additional words, conversation. Okay, so, and we are using the same thing. Now we will duplicate it again, and let's do the same thing for a service description. So here we will create a variable called service and analyze it and find what service the client is looking for. You must output the service the client is looking for. No additional words, symbols, or anything. Okay, so now ideally we will output only the variables and we can reference them here. So email and then full name, and then let's say service. Okay, let's actually test this out, guys, and let's see if it's gonna work. Let's say something like, hi, should start asking us some different, what service are you looking for? Okay, I think I need to fix my AC. What service are you looking for? So it's asking the same question. Interesting. But I already said it. I told you. Let's see. Interesting. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. It's going to this path, obviously. This is the right thing. All info. Why we have this all info? Oh yeah, so because we are saving this all info in the variable, last utterance, and prompt. Your goal is to get information from the user about a service that he's looking and need to capture. Your goal is to capture all details from the user. Okay, details to capture, what user needs, service description if needed, email, a last user response. Okay, so custom memory, we are updating this correctly, and then we are, sorry, yeah, so it's going here, it's not going here. Okay, let's see. Let's say hi. Okay, what do you need to help? I need to fix my AC. Could you please provide a description? I don't know. It's not working for some reason. Could you please provide the full name? Sure, it's Eugene Kadzin. Okay, my email is Eugene at gmail.com, whatever. Now we should probably go to the next step. Ideally. Okay, so probably, do we see it in intent confidence navigation now? So no variables were changed. So just to confirm, okay, so yeah, just to confirm, you need, yes, correct. Sorry, my bad. Yes, correct. Okay, so what's that? Thank you for, I'll make sure you get person 1. Okay, so it's not doing what we need it to do, is 1. All info, and then all info is 1. It's not doing that for some reason. Okay. So when all details were captured, you must output 1 full name, so again, this is a life and death situation. When you have all details, do not send any more messages or questions. Just respond with 1. Anything besides 1? Besides 1, output only, output 1 when you have all the details. Okay, so we can even lower down the temperature. Again, guys, this is where the actual, magic happens. You need to maybe put it in the system prompt. You need to play around with this function and with this prompting to get all the correct details. Hi, my AC is not starting. Yeah, so this is why it's here. Sorry, yeah, global navigation intent. Yeah, we can do the intent confidence. Okay, let's reload it again. Hi, my AC is not working. It doesn't turn on. Eugene Kazan. GinaKazan@gmail.com. What service do you need for your AC, Eugene? Repair, I think. Brief explanation, brief description of the repair needed. I don't know. It is not working. That is it. Yes. Okay. AC repair. Now, finally, as you can see, it kind of was asking a lot of questions. We probably we don't need to ask that much, especially because here I clarified that we need to get the service description exactly so that we just don't get it's not working, right? So why it's not working, maybe ask additional clarification things so that when we transfer the person to a real human, or to create the input in the CRM, we have all the information needed to actually, to start creating the service. Okay, so in here we are kind of getting all the information. And the idea is that after that, we'll use the API call to another webhook, right? So to this webhook now. And when we have all the information, we will use the post, and we can, in the parameters, we can say email, and we can use the email one. In here, we can use the phone. Oh, sorry, not the phone. What we need the service, so service, and here we also need the name and the full name. Okay, I'm not going to test it like right now here, so let's actually jump into the connecting this to the SMS. So when we will publish this thing, we need to start making the scenario integration in Make. Okay, so let's say that the user send a message, and then when we have this message, we need to call this agent and provide it the context, what it needs to do. In order to do that, you need to use the Voiceflow APIs. Don't worry, I'll explain how everything works, and again, I will have the blueprint in my resource hub so that it's easier for you to understand, but we need the dialog API endpoints. So we have two type of we have obviously more, but to simplify, so when you go to HTTP request, we can do two type of requests. The first one is starting the conversation. So it's essentially like the same thing that pressing the button. So you are launching the conversation. And here, okay, so let's actually, we don't need this one. We're not gonna do that right now. So here, as you can see, you have this endpoint and we don't need the last one. So interact, this is the endpoint that we use. The fun part is that obviously we first will create the conversation with a very specific user ID. And here you can see that there's user ID. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will start the conversation with 1, 2, 3, 4 as a user ID. And I think that we need the accept header. Just, copy everything from here and put it here, accept, and application JSON, add another header. I'm not sure if we need that accept one, but whatever. So here. Okay, so now, and this is the request. So body raw and field, sorry, not field, body type. No, this raw. Content type, we can skip it. And this, I think we should add another of these. Now, it will send an API request to this endpoint through post with these headers and with an action to launch the conversation. And we don't need the payload, I think, right? So here, if you go, I have the payload, I think, somewhere. Okay, so let's actually reload it, because we don't need the payload. Payload will be used when we are providing the context to, so we don't. Action type launch. So here and this. So let's test it. Okay, so unauthorized deal. Sorry, I did not provide the header with the API key, obviously. So here we need to, where is it? Okay, you go to settings, integrations, API key here. And if you copy this key and you go to the Voiceflow documentation, you see, you have it here. When you paste it, it will be pasted here. It's just easier for you to see how, how you should structure your request. So you put the value and you put the authorization here. Okay, so authorization, authorization. Now let's start this module again, and we should see the success message. It means that this conversation was started. And here, if you look really closely, you see the hello message, and this is the message that we have from when we start the conversation here, right? So when we run and click start, we say we receive hello, right? Hello with this emoji, and this is the same thing that we have here. We can maybe click the parse JSON so that it's easier. Now we start the conversation. The next step would be to like message an AI. Okay, so let's do another block called HTTP request. Essentially, we'll just copy and paste it. So we will use the same ID here. So the same post, everything is the same. But the only difference is that at this time, we will change the action type to, okay, so I have it here so that it's easier to see. So we have another action type, which is text, right? And the payload is the question from the user. So we can say in the so in the payload here, we provide the body, like the question from the user, okay? Now, again, doing the same type of API request to the same endpoint with the same headers, but here, instead of the type launch, we're using the type text. In the payload, we are providing the question from the user. So now, when we say in the body, we provide, let's say, how are you? Something like that, and we click OK, we should receive some sort of a request, some sort of a response with the payload. I'm doing great. How can I assist you today? So it's the same thing as you would do here. Okay. Now, the problem obviously is that each conversation should be unique. So like we put 1, 2, 3, 4 here, but this should be unique to each and every instance. So every message that our Twilio number receives should start a new conversation. For this, we can use the set, for example, variable. You can do it a lot of different ways. So for example, set variable, we can do the ID, and for the variable, we'll use random function. So it will create a random number, and then we can use this this ID, right? Sorry, this ID variable as the ID of the Voiceflow conversation, right? Okay, so ID. Now, so let's say that our webhook receive a reply from a question from the user to our Twilio number. Then we're setting up the ID. We're starting the conversation with Voiceflow, and we are providing the question from this thing to Voiceflow and get a response back. Now we need to send this reply from the Voiceflow back to the actual number that asked this conversation, that asked this question. So you can do that using the Twilio function, Twilio module. So you can do that through the APIs, through the same HTTP request and by following the Twilio API guidelines, but it's just easier to use something like that. So we'll have the create message. Obviously, I already have the connection and send the message from. So we can say from the phone number, since we have just one phone number, and the phone number that we have is this. We're sending it to this from number, right? And for the message body, we'll say create body, and here we will use the body of this message that we received from Voiceflow. The problem is that obviously, as you can see, this is kind of an array, so there's 1 and 2. So you need to put here a number 2 because the message is stored in the second here, like because in the payload there's only path, so the message is stored here. Okay, so I think that's it. let's actually run it and let's see. We go to Skype and we'll say, hi, similar thing. And let's see if we will catch the webhook. Okay, so we caught the webhook. We launched the conversation with Voiceflow. We provided the question to the Voiceflow, and here we received the reply back. Hi there, how can I assist you today? Now, the problem is that, let's say I will ask the question right now, but it will restart this conversation, will create the new ID, and will, do the same thing. It will not follow the conversation, right? So in order to do that, we need to create a temporary storage for all of our conversations. So we can do that through Airtable, let's say conversation history, something like that. And we will just use two simple fields. The first one being, let's say, a number, like phone number, or like phone. And the second one being the ID, okay? So the Voiceflow ID. Okay, so we have this table. So let's say after this message was initiated and the conversation with the ID was created, we will create a new record on Airtable. So we'll do the upsert record, and obviously I have the connection. So here, conversation history, we'll use the table 1, and for the record, we are creating the new record. For the phone, we'll use the from phone, right? So this is the phone that I sent it from. And for the Voiceflow ID, we'll use this ID variable. Now, when it runs, we will create a new record here. But so why? When the webhook will be triggered, we can check if the number already exists in this Airtable. So, and we can do that through, let's say, okay, so through the router, obviously. And okay, so here, I'll choose this one, unlink, and we'll do the router with two different options. So let's say, okay, so let's say the first option would be that this information does not exist. So for the filter, we'll say, sorry, my bad. First, you need to actually search for this record. So we are searching for the record. No, not here. Jesus. Okay. I messed it up. Delete, unlink. So here. First, we will search if the phone number already exists in the record. So we'll do the conversation history, table 1, and I have a simple formula here. So we will output both of this, and this is the formula. So we will check if the number field, right? So this is, okay, so we don't have the number, we have the phone field. Okay, so phone, if the phone field is equals to from, and from, this is the phone number, right? So if the from number exists here, it will, output these fields. So then we can do a router. And here's how the setup will look. Okay. So when the total number of bundles, let's say, equals to 1 or whatever, right? So if there is something here, if there is one bundle of information, it means that this number is here. Sorry, no, it should go back. So if this doesn't equal to 1, not equal to 1, it means that this is the new conversation. But if it does equal to 1, we will just copy and paste it here. So let's say if the bundle, total number of bundles is equals to 1, it means that this phone number does exist. We do not need to create the variable, because if the information exists, we have the Voiceflow ID, and we will use this Voiceflow ID here. Okay, let's actually do something like this just for the sake of testing. And here we don't need to update this one. Okay, so let's see. We will, okay, let's actually say something like hi again. It will check the records. It didn't find anything. So now it will provide us a reply, but also it will populate the record in Airtable. So the next time here, let's say what is up, and let's test this thing. When we send it, here it will go to this step, but obviously the Twilio is has an error. But here it understood that we found the information. There is one bundle. We found this record in Airtable. So now we are doing the API request to Voiceflow, but instead of generating the new Voiceflow ID, we have one from the Airtable, right? So, and this is what we can use. And we'll use the same body, so the same thing. And for the Twilio, we will use okay, so from what was the message here? Missing body. Yeah, so it's the same thing. Okay, so, and this is how you would create a loop. So let's delete it. Let's delete everything and say hi friend. It will go to the first scenario. So, hi, how can I assist you today? And this was populated. Now, when we say, my name is Eugene, something like that. Nice to meet you, Eugene. What do you need to help with today? So here we can say, okay, so what is my name again? You will see that it remember the conversation because it went here, right? So your name is Eugene. What do you need to help with today? Okay, so I think it's not properly connected to our current voice AI because it needs to have different to the, sorry, Jesus Christ. Okay, to our Voiceflow AI. Okay, so maybe I need to publish it, and just to check, what are these the correct ones? Okay, so because the first message that we should receive should be just hello, and it should ask us about the service details. Okay. Okay, no, so let's actually see. Maybe I need to fix my AC. Let's see if it's gonna ask us about the email and the phone number. And it was the brief description. Okay, so yeah, that's okay, because like the last time when we were testing the agent, remember it was like heavily asking right away, not how I can assist you today, but what service I can help you with. So it's just not working for some reason. Let's remember this is the webhook that we should send the user to once we have all the information. Can you put us the email of the address? Yes, sure. It's eugenekadzin@gmail.com. Okay. I got it. Please provide your full name. It's Eugene Kadzin. Let's test this just to see how it's how everything is working. Ideally, it should send us. It should send the webhook right now. Okay, so I needed one. No, it did not. It did not. Why? Because as you can see here, it said thank you and then it outputted 1, but it actually needs to just output 1, because here it's what we can do. Maybe that's going to be easier. For example, instead of checking that the condition is 1, we can say contains 1. So if it would be something like that, if we publish it right now, will it go through? Let me check. This is, I'm not sure if it's the production version or the final version, because we need to send a message here just to test the assistant. And then, okay, so contains 1. So let's see. Okay, so this is the webhook. Let's restart it. Okay. Let's see if it's gonna mention 1 somewhere. How can I assist you today? I provided all information, right? Could you please confirm me you need to help with my AC? Provide description. Not working. My name is Eugene Kazan and email is ginakazan@gmail.com. Let's see if it's, because obviously you can like understand the whole message, and symptoms no, just not turning on. As you can see, the price, it was, I think, $9, so it's pretty costly. Okay, let's see if it's going to set up and send this webhook, because we have one here. Okay. Will this webhook be sent? Maybe. No. Server error. Probably because I need to like add the headers and the body, or the body. Whatever. Yeah. Okay, guys. So I think you got the idea how the setup should look like. So let's see. After we capture all the details, we are, I said that we're going to send the email, so it's like the same thing. So let's say that we have all the information, but the email will be sent not to the user in our case, but to the actual, team. So for example, we'll use the Gmail block and send an email and say, hey, there is one person interested. This is his description, and it was added to the CRM. They have a very specific CRM for their HVAC operations, and this is what we are trying to connect right now to. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. It was pretty long video. I hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Peace.